Good afternoon, Mufasil. This is Jamal Hassan from Maryland, USA. First, I would like to hear from you.
Okay. Welcome, dear viewers, to today's session of live program. Today, we're going to discuss about the outcome of my decades of research into Islamic theology. What are my findings? What are my conclusions? A researcher should be judged by the last position he takes. And taking that account, I must say that I have reached a conclusion or turning of my phase of theological research, where I can very much say that my pursuit for the truth has unveiled itself. So today I have an honored guest. Let's meet the guest first. And he's a very good friend of mine. I consider him as my brother. Let's go to Jamal Hassan. Jamal Hassan, welcome to our program. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Mufasil, for introducing me. Let me tell about myself in brief. I am a Bangladeshi American. That means I was born in Bangladesh and have been living here in USA more than 30 years. And for almost 22 years, I've been involved in anti-terrorism and other security matters in USA.
Right.
So I worked with different federal agencies in the library and also assisted different agencies in their efforts in combating global terrorism. I worked with under US government in the Middle East, in countries like Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. I'm a published author. I co-edited a book titled Beyond Jihad, Inside the Voices of Inside Islam. And my other editor was Dr. Kim Scheinbaum, former chairperson, political science of Rutgers University. So this book is currently currently in possession of more than 160 academic libraries all over the world, including Harvard, Princeton, Defense Library, then UCLA, Berkeley, UC Irvine, and also libraries in UK, Australia, and Canada, and even United Arab Emirates. So as I said, I'm still assisting different agencies, vital agencies of USA in regard to security matters of particularly South Asia. Well, thank you. And now floor goes to Muhasil.
Thank you, Jamal Hassan. Today, I'm going to discuss, frankly, in my own words, what I've found about Islam as a religion. I've been researching into Islam as a comparative religion, and also I've been researching into the roots of this religion for almost over 4 decades, almost, since I was 12 or 13. But I dedicated myself to understanding this religion since I was 16 years old. I've been trying to be honest in my research, because that was the advice that was given to me by my respected professor, Neville Cox, who was my PhD supervisor. In my pursuit of honest research, I've changed my mind many times. And that's the mark of an honest researcher. If I find something truer, I simply accept it. If I find something wrong, which I was pursuing thus far, I will simply reject it. That was my position. That has been my position all my life. Whilst considering Islam as a religion, I must say that I was born in a Muslim family. I was born in a Sufi family where my forefathers preached Islam as a faith for almost 250 years. The track record of my forefathers are well documented, as many of you know my forefathers. And they were never dogmatic in their approaches, and they were very liberal, all of them. But I have gone through upheavals in my life. I have come across understandings of Islam, which often forced me to question my faith. Am I really a Muslim from my heart? Should it be the religion I should really believe to be true? But I still did. I preached the religion all over the world. I've been to many, many countries around the world. I addressed many crowds. I had made many friends from all walks of life. I never stopped myself from listening, even to my worst enemies. So that made me who I am today. I enriched myself in that manner. Coming to the question, the $1,000,000 question, where do I stand now? I take Islam as a faith, first of all. Now the question is, what is Islam? I tried to dig deeper. When I was trying to dig deeper, I obviously, like traditional Muslims, I followed hadiths, tried to understand hadiths. I followed tafsir, took on board the greatest scholars and their opinions into account. But eventually, what was quite disturbing to me was the references those scholars were making to, the claims those scholars were making to. And also, I questioned the humanity behind all those claims. And eventually, after preaching Islam for more than 3 decades, I left the religion. And you all know that. I left the religion in 2016 when I had to face serious repercussions, threats, abuses from thousands of extremists, or even from general Muslims as a whole, for condemning terrorist attacks in Paris. My family broke down. I lost the dream of ever going back to the country I was born in. And then I started preaching against Islam as I understood it, and as the reasons forced me out of it, like many ex-Muslims do, because we all suffer from depression, oppression, and we all suffer from being, it was like a castaway life. It felt that I have suddenly been pushed out of my mother's womb into a world which I did not know what I had to face. Eventually, I pulled my courage together and I started criticizing the religion from aspects of humanity. I found out the inhumanity in many of the hadiths and the claims that our prophet did all that. And I found that to be obnoxious and not acceptable in the 21st century and in the standards of humanity. And also, I found out that there were efforts to hide those with flimsy excuses, which we call eventually either in the names of ijtihad, or we call them fatwa, or we call them ijma, qiyas, tafsir, whatever you want to name. When you lie once, you have to make up 1,000 lies to justify that lie. Then I came back to Islam. Why? That's another big question. Because I never left the possibility of existence of a supreme power. And that's why I never called myself an atheist. I never did. I called myself an agnostic man. So that agnosticism somehow was there, and I tried to connect myself to a creator. And it seemed that Quran was discarding of all the things that hadiths were claiming. I couldn't find things which hadiths were depicting in the Quran. The tafsir and were all based on primarily on Quran, on hadiths. So that was quite a relief for me. So I started digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and went to the of history. Yes. Can you hear me, Jamal bhai? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jamal bhai? Jamal Hassan, can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Yes.
Yes, I can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So, so as I was saying,
Yes.
so as I was saying, that I started digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and which eventually paved the way. One second, let me put him back to.
And Mufassir, I think your image was frozen, and
Am I okay
there
now?
was.
Am I okay now?
Yeah, I can see now. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So as I was saying, so that helped me to push me to do researches into Islamic historiography. So when I started researching into Islamic historiography, I was shocked, basically. I was very much shocked. Because Islam as a religion doesn't even exist. It doesn't even exist. You may say it but very much exists now. And you can say, wait, we are saying so many implications of Islam. Yes, it does. It is true. Because the fear of ghost is there. What I found out is the Hindus created their gods with 10 arms, created their gods who can jump from one end of the mountain to the other, like Hanuman, created gods who can do many things. And the Greeks and the Romans did the same thing. They created their gods. Many of the times they created their gods in their own image rather than God creating them in their image. But in Islam, they created humanoids, humans who never existed. Now they're fighting over whether ghost bites or ghost drink your blood. They're fighting over it. But in fact, that ghost is not a friendly ghost like the Casper. It is a ghost never existed. The ghost was created. The ghost of figures like Abu Huraira, ghosts like figures like Abu Bakr, Omar, Osman, never existed. They never existed, my friends. And issues, fictions, fictitious characters, stories were built. Like an empire is built on lies, baseless lies. It was quite shocking for me. It was quite shocking. Trust me, this is not the result that I was looking for. I was looking for ways to discard hadiths, tafsirs. And I did, in fact, with the help of the Quran. I did. Because Quran itself revealed to me how these are all lies. But at the same time, the questions never stopped. I was hurled with questions after questions after questions. And eventually, I found out we are all being brainwashed into believing things which never existed. I've listed up all this. You'll be shocked because, as I said, if you lie once, you have to make up 1,000 lies to justify those lies. That's what we are all doing with our mental gymnastics. The list is not exhaustive. I can go on for probably with the list. I can give you 1,000 lists, but I will try to sum it up in 3 segments of 20 minutes at each time. And then I will leave the floor with Mr. Likon, Major Likon. He has joined us. And also I would request Likon to turn on your camera, please, and join the platform. And also we have Hassan, Brother Hassan, he will ask me questions as well. Let's begin with a few questions. Yes, let me bring him in at the spotlight. Dear guests, welcome. And also, I think my audience needs to know who is Major Retired Hassan is. Major Retired Hassan, would you please, Likon, Major Retired Likon, would you please introduce yourself to my audience, please? Major Retired Likon. You have to turn on your microphone. It's muted. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. All right, go ahead.
Okay. I served in the Army, Bangladesh Army, for quite a long time. And after that, I took retirement. And at this moment, I'm doing business. And I do a little bit of study. I'm a student of Quran and also the religion or the interactive religion. And that's it.
Right. Thank you. Now, my request to you all to buckle up as I try to, let's put it this way, throw up the findings that I have from my years of research. You may not be hearing things that you would like to hear from me today. You may not. Probably you'll be shocked. I take the full responsibility. Just being with me here doesn't mean that you have to agree with me. But at the same time, I will tell you to take the time and then ponder what I say. One, very first question. Quran, the name Quran, where did we get it from? Who told you the name of the book is Quran? You cannot justify this. Because the Prophet never, first of all, I will divide it into three segments. First, let's put it this way. I take Quran as the book, divine revelation. And then the second segment, the questions will come. The first question, let's take Quran as a divine revelation and Muhammad to be the prophet. Now let's test it with that. First of all, Quran is a divine revelation, but who told you that Quran is a book? It's a mushaf. Is there any verse in the Quran where it says, Muhammad, I have given you a book and it is called Quran, and it includes all the chapters that I've given you? Answer is no. There's not a single verse in the entire Quran where it says, I have given a book named Quran to Muhammad. It's not there. Second, did Muhammad himself ever saw the book in the order, in the manner that we see today? Answer is no. So should it be named Kitab? Because it has been referred to something like a kitab. But does kitab really mean a book? Because there was no book in Arabic in existence until, let's put it this way, until the 9th century. Because even if you take Omar, Osman, they codified the book into a book. We don't have a proof to that. The book itself became fatter and fatter and fatter as the centuries went by. So now let's come to the chapters of the Quran. How many chapters are there? That's the first question. How many chapters should be there? Because many of the scholars think that, for example, Surah Fil and Surah Quraysh shouldn't be two separate surahs. There should be one surah. Why? Because you cannot really understand Surah Fil unless you understand Surah Quraysh. At the same time, Surah Quraysh, if you understand, you cannot make head and tail of it because it goes against the very conceptions of Islamic understanding. So the chapter counts are puzzling as well. What about the names of the chapters? No, Muhammad never named the chapters because the Quran itself says in Surah 15, verse 91, that they divided the books into chapters, and they, in fact, I'm telling you in my words, they in fact lost their faith. Now, what about the word surah when Quran refers it to, that bring a surah like this? Surah doesn't mean chapter. Surah means installments. So if the revelation came, for example, Surah Alaq, verse 1 to 5, in one revelation, that's called a surah, an installment. So they will never be able to reconcile these differences. So this chapterization of Quran goes against the very concept of Quran itself. Then comes to the naming of the chapters. Who named them? I couldn't find out, trust me. In some of the hadiths, they say that some of the surahs were named by the Prophet, because Prophet, in fact, said, bring me those verses where Allah is talking about Baqarah, the cow thing, bring that. So they turned that into a possibility of having Baqarah. But then again, this chapter has verses which are revealed 7 years after that. And then we have Surah 17, which has verses which were revealed 10 years prior to that. So it's all mumbled up, all jumbled up. In Surah 25, Allah says that He brought it down in gradual order so that the faith can be increased. So we have lost that. We have lost that. We can't really increase our faith reading a Quran, according to Quran, which is not in gradual order. It's gone then. So the namings You have several namings of each surah. You can even justify Surah Fatiha to be Quran or mother of the Quran or main surah. You can't do that either. Because if you turn on the Quran and you see the very first surah is the Fatiha. But in revelation timeline order, it shouldn't be so. But again, if you turn on, everything is confusing. Why? Because Fatiha, who told you that it is the often repeated verse? Because the Quran itself, that Allah has given the Quran and the 7 repeated. It doesn't say 7 repeated verses. It doesn't say that. It doesn't even say there's a chapter of 7 repeated verses. It doesn't say that. And then if you don't count Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, then you are in bigger trouble. And if you count Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim to be part of the Quran, then you can't really say Surah Fatiha has 7 verses. Then you have Surah Maun with 7 verses. Big problem. So which are the 7 repeated? Gone. Now, about the verses of the Quran, there are missing verses in the Quran, and I have proved it. For example, in my Prokrito Islamer Khoje series, I have proven that you can't really make head and tail of it when Prophet Ibrahim approached the Kafirs and said that don't make idols. Then if you leave once, then I will show you what I'm going to do. Then the Kafirs leave, they come back and they question, hey, what the hell, who did this? Doesn't make sense, does it, these verses? There are verses missing there. And also, there are verses which are clearly kufr in the Quran. So I have believed that this is kufr or lies have infiltrated in the Quran. Surah 5 verse 95, and if you read Surah 5 verse 97, you will see that Allah is saying to offer the sacrifices as a hadiyah, slaughter, and then deliver balaga to the Kaaba. Why? Because Allah says that the blood and flesh doesn't reach Allah. Then why should I have to, like a Hindu goddess, what they do in a Shiva sacrificial ritual, they slaughter it outside, then deliver it inside the temple on the Shiva. So why should Allah say balaga, slaughter, then as a hadiyah, deliver it to the Kaaba, as a hadiyah, deliver it to the Kaaba? Something wrong going on. Then you have issues like Quranic variants in tilawats. I will show you, for example, there are hafs and warsh readings where you can't really reconcile the meanings because the meanings are seriously different, varying. I can show you an example. Here are some examples where hafs and warsh readings will have variant meanings. And we'll have, you can say they're slightly variable, but not true. Because they, for example, Qatil and Kutil, well, created big troubles, and we have Islamic State killing and slaughtering people. Let's share the screen here. There are 7, apparently, but there were more than 20 variant readings. And you cannot deny from this screen that there are meaning differences. Hafs and wash. You see? And you can all slow down the camera and find out later on. So variant readings give variant meanings as well. And sometimes they are very questionable. And this is not one-off. I can give you hundreds of such examples. Then you have the question of miracles of Muhammad in the Quran. There's not a single statement in the Quran that Muhammad performed any miracle. Rather, he was being taunted, perform miracle. But he said, I'm just a warner. So there's a single verse in the Quran where it says that Muhammad divided the moon. He said, moon has been split. Who knows? Allah split, or it may appear to be splitting because obviously you have half crescent there. You have half moon there. You have crescent. So it appears like it's half. But at the same time, and again, Surah 17, verse 1, it is translated as Prophet Muhammad being taken from, Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa. But Masjid al-Aqsa that we see today being fought over, didn't even exist until 705 for the least. And Al-Aqsa, in fact, means the farthest away land, praying area. And Masjid al-Haram doesn't mean the Masjid al-Haram today because it didn't exist at that time. What was it referring to? Who knows? Because the Nabateans were using haram as a place where forbidden many things. And even the worshippers of, say, many goddesses, in fact, they were using haram as well for forbidding things. Aphrodite, during Aphrodite's worship, many things were forbidden during her worship. A masjidah means praying area. Even in the Quran, you will see masjidah word is being used as an area. Masjid al-Haram is an area where people were slaughtering animals, people were living, as you can see from Maida. So Masjid al-Haram doesn't mean the masjid that we see today with constructed buildings. No. So Al-Aqsa, the word Al-Aqsa is used also when Prophet Moses' issue was just being described, that somebody from Aqsa came and all that. So it means somebody came from far away. But it's being used, politicized, to allow all the Muslims to go nuts over Al-Aqsa Mosque. See, it has serious implications. So there was an effort of turning Muhammad into a Jesus-like figure. Because all the things Jesus did, Muhammad had to do more. But Islamic, from the Quran, it seems that all the miracles are, they eventually don't pay off. Because why? Because time is up, the non-believers will say that these are all magic. So to remain into miraculous claims, the greatest miracle will be the teaching. The teaching will free you. Because even Jesus says, if you follow the truth will set you free. And the Quran says itself, don't hide the truth. Don't mix the false with the truth. So that's what you should do as per Quran, Surah Baqarah. So these claims were all in hadiths. So Quran is going very much so against hadiths, and Muslims are following, not the Quran. Then we have circumcision. Quran doesn't allow circumcision, but rather it says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, that I created you with the best of molds. So if you say that Allah created the best of molds, why the hell do you have to rely on some Hazam coming and cutting the nip off of your manhood? Why? Allah couldn't do that. He left it down to the humans to do it. Or if it benefits all humanity to circumcise, then Allah created us with a fault. But Allah says there is no fault in His creation. It goes against. So when I do a tattoo like this, I'm told, what the hell did you do that? You can't do that. Quran says you can alter. But I said, hey, you are cutting off the top of your penis skin. And they will come up with all the flimsy excuses and all that to justify that. So these are always mental gymnastics. Nothing is, in Islam, as religion, nothing is confirmed. Absolutely nothing. I'm still in the Quran. Then you go for preservation of the Quran. There's not a single verse in the Quran where it says that I will preserve the mushaf that you are going to collect together or turn it into a book. It's not a single verse. Allah says He will preserve the zikr. The zikr doesn't necessarily mean Quran. It can be remembrance. And the remembrance, that means the feeling, the innate feeling. There is a creator, and it is present in all books. Even the most knowledgeable atheist will say, I can't really shrug off the possibility of a creator. Even Richard Dawkins said something to that line. So this zikr is something totally different from the zikr that we have translated into meaning Quran today. So if Muslims were following Jesus perfectly, wouldn't need Muhammad. If Muslims are following Moses diligently, wouldn't need Muhammad, wouldn't need Quran even. Because the central messages should be the same as per Quran, Surah 5, verse 43 and onwards. So they have turned Muhammad into a demigod, into a total demigod. They say that no, following Muhammad is following hadiths. I would say, is that so? If that is the case, then the question comes, do you follow or you copy? Then do you follow what is in the Quran or outside the Quran as well? Then if you follow outside the Quran, was Muhammad not instructed by God to follow the Sirat al-Mustaqim of Ibrahim, prophet? So were all the prophets eating same kind of fruits? Were all the prophets riding same kind of donkeys or camels or horses? Or a prophet that Allah says he has sent his representatives everywhere, Surah 16, verse 36. If that was the case, then a prophet obviously came in Australia. Did he venture for a house in Arabia 50,000 years ago? Because that's the farthest we can go, people living in Australia, Aborigines. What about prophets who came in Iceland? Were they eating dates? Is that part of the faith? So why do you want to universalize a prophet like that, unless he's the core are the same, in the teachings? Why have you turned that into part of your belief, your rituals? When Bukhari himself, there's no proof that Bukhari himself wrote the Sahih Bukhari we see today, because there's not a single codified existence of Bukhari until the 12th century. And we find that in the British Library, amazingly. So there's not a single codified book of Bukhari until the 12th century. There's no existence of any hadith until the 9th century. And in the 9th century, you find one sentence of Muwatta, just one. And you find that in Vienna, capital of Austria, Vienna Library. And there are 30 different versions of Muwatta. So hadith gone through the drains. Now you're coming up talking about the hadith now. Hadith now. Now you're talking about narrators. I'll take another 3 minutes, then take questions from Mr. Hassan, then we'll go for Mr. Likon. Now, what about hadith narrators? Oh, he narrated from this, he narrated from that, he narrated from his that. This is all based on faith, oral tradition, or Chinese whisper. So if you keep on going, let's go to the roots. Did Abu Huraira exist? Oh, yes, he did. Oh, very much did. Oh, my God, what you're talking about? Abu Huraira did exist. Oh, yeah, he did. So if you want to make up a lie about Mr. Hassan, what you need to do? Keep Mr. Hassan out of reach. So how do you keep him out of reach? Give him a title. Mr. Hassan, the poet, the rebel poet. Okay, Mr. Hassan is a rebel poet. What is his name? Who gave so many things that we should follow? Oh, I know. His name was Jamal. So I go and try to find out somebody ever exists like Jamal somewhere in America. Couldn't match. Then I said, no, probably his name was not Jamal, his name was Likon. So I try to match again. So after a few years, I can't justify that as well. Then I make up another one. I said, no, his name was Tawheed. Then make up some more lies. So end up having 15 different names. That's why we have 15 different names of Abu Huraira. Somebody who depicted 27,000 plus hadiths for Sunnis even. We don't know even his name. Then about characters of those Sahabas, the 7th category Sahabas and all that. Ridiculous. We even have hadiths from, even if they existed, Imran Hussein. Oh my goodness. Imran. We can't accept him because he was suffering from mental disorder. I don't know for how long. That's according to Islamic history. Then Ibn Ishaq, you cannot prove Ibn Ishaq. Goodness gracious me. Because you know why? Ibn Ishaq, whatever, even if he existed, he was criticized heavily by the people of his time, including the greatest jurists. And then Ibn Ishaq was allegedly edited by Ibn Hisham. You know what? Ibn Hisham, we don't even know whether he existed. Even for Ibn Hisham, from then we have Martin Ling and we have Martin Gulliver. So eventually we don't have Ibn Ishaq. There's not a single book in existence, single page, clear page, unquestionably, even from Ibn Ishaq. These are all Chinese whispers. Why the hell should we believe? Then even if he wrote, Bukhari wrote Bukhari, for 300 years, there's not a copy after that. He was allegedly copied hard twice by his student Farabri. We don't have any of his writings. Say Mufassir Islam is the greatest scholar. His student Rana, he heard from him twice. Then he told the world. No, he told to Tawheed, 17-year-old boy. Then he preached to the world. But we don't know how great was Rana Babu because we don't know anything about him. But he was the main transmitter of Bukhari. He didn't even write it down. We don't have any proof of that. So these are all vagues. I will give on the list, but I will take some more questions or comments now. Let's open up the floor for Mr. Jamal Hassan. Jamal Hassan, if you have any opinion, please.
Okay, I have got some points, I would say. You said nothing is confirmed in Islam. I was wondering what is confirmed in which religion? Christianity, many of the devout Christians, they say that the Bible is spiritually inspired. They don't say that it's just exactly the words of God, basically. So there, there is a scope. There is some kind of I can say logical, I can say ground to say, okay, it's a religiously inspired, if you see something, dichotomy or something. But the problem with whatever you said about Islam, that if it is a hard and fast is watertight situation, then definitely somebody can refute, like you are refuting the general premises of Islamic theology. But talking about you mentioned Christ, and I would say in the Sermon on the Mount, how Jesus Christ basically deviated or revised the archaic Mosaic law, the laws of Prophet Moses. We know the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said that you have heard that it was said, and follows it up with, but I tell you, that is the thing. Using the formula, actually Jesus Christ creates a contrast between the law of Moses. You have to understand. So in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus actually tried to make a contrast between the law of the Moses, and which was basically depicted by Pharisees. And Mr. Mufassir Islam, that Pharisees are those writers. Pharisees. You can call them Pharisees, yeah. And the scribes, the writers, okay. But they used to do basically literal meaning of Mosaic laws. But Christ, I would say, somebody can say sneakily, and somebody say very smartly, actually deviated. I would say humanized the Mosaic law. As he said in Matthew 5:17, you can see what was the thing. Christ very smartly actually deviated from the archaic, inhuman certain Mosaic laws. And talking about 5:17, regarding the law, do not think I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. What was the trickery here? In order to fulfill, he actually almost, I can say, he tried to soften or even deviate part of the laws, Mosaic law. And same in the Matthew 5:20, and for I tell you, Christ said, for I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds
righteousness of
that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. So this is the interesting thing.
I memorized all that when I was 16. Unless
but you see one thing.
But the problem is,
my point is that if you say the Mosaic law to Christian laws, Jesus Christ, Old Testament to New Testament, I can say maybe it is a one way or few steps upward, or to modernity, or to humanistic some ideas, or humanistic some kind of theological ideas, whatever you call it. And Mufassir, as you have studied comparative religion, I can still bring the subject. Stoning to death, Puram, Old Testament, stoning to death. Is it a unknown terminology for the Judaic philosophy or the Mosaic law?
No.
Stoning to death to adulterers?
No.
Okay, but nobody's following that.
No.
Because the question is, many of the Jews, even in Israel or any other country, any other part of the world, the Jews do not stone to death any adulterous woman. But we see stoning to death in Afghanistan under Taliban, and still sometimes in Iran. So this is the problem. I mean, this is the problem I'm facing a lot of times. The old archaic Mosaic laws are reflected sometimes in Islamic laws, in Sharia. So if you contrast the similarity between Mosaic law, of course, you can find a lot of similarities in Islamic law and Mosaic law, laws of Prophet Moses, but you can also find a lot of dissimilarity. But the question is,
why do you see that?
Even in Judaism, there were certain laws. Maybe those are still in Puram and in the books, but they're not following. So is it a question of literally they're following, or we are following the spirit? Number one. Number two, are we fulfilling whatever our heart says, or whatever 1,000-year-old some dogma says? So that's the thing I have to say. And yeah, I agree with you. Whatever you are saying, I mean, it's not confirmed. But again, I want to say that nothing is confirmed in many religions. And in Hinduism, you already mentioned, and Hindus worship Krishna. But I know many Hindus, they joke about Krishna. Krishna is a god, but they joke, oh, he was butter. He was when he was kid, he used to steal butter from some, and he was womanizer, whatever. Still, they worship Krishna because Krishna has a mythological character. Now, I want to be the devil's advocate.
When you have individual hallucination, you call it, as you said, when you have individual hallucination, is insanity. But when you have mass hallucination, it's religion.
Yeah, so, that may be one interpretation. But again, I'm saying that when you say about Abu Huraira or even Abu Bakr, Abu Bakr may be an existent caliph, but no. Abu Huraira and others, you are saying no. Then why not make them as a mythological character like Krishna or Durga? Why not?
Because
I'm trying to. I'm not trying to.
People have evolved. People have evolved. So people have evolved. Our thinking, our thinking has evolved. For example, we don't see, there's a slight milder character into Ramayana from the Hercules character. So people have evolved. So at the same time, people have evolved into believing that into demigods. They're not.
No. I agree with you. But my point is that after all, they're mythological. They don't say Durga was born 600 AD and Durga had five children. Whatever. Durga is still a myth. Durga is a mythological character. That I'm saying.
That I understand what you're saying, but gods do not need to have a date of birth, first of all. And but at the same time, when you need to make it convincing, and the people have evolved, and people have started writing, and where people have started being scholars, and we have started setting up institutions of academic institutions like Baitul Hikmah, you need to put some dates, even to your made-up stories. You have Alibaba and 40 thieves. You have to give it a number. So the numberization helped to create a persona in your head. So coming back to the questions of Jesus and the laws, Jesus didn't give laws. He said, the kingdom of this world is not mine, to begin with. And at the same time, where I have seen a similarity of prophethood throughout the stories of Quran. For example, there's not a single verse in the Quran where it said Muhammad took up a sword and fought. Not a single verse. Rather, in the Quran, we see a mild character. Being honest here, neutral, 100%. He couldn't even tell off his own wives. He had to rather emphasize, follow. He was being ridiculed. So he didn't give laws, because the Quran, Surah 88, verse 22 says very clearly, you are not their controller, you are not their ruler. So if he says you are not their controller, if you're not the ruler, how do you rule? Because Karl Marx even said, it is used, laws are used as a tool to oppress. So if you can't enact laws, how do you rule? So you create laws. And how do you create laws? You give it a divine sanction. How do you give a divine sanction? You make up stories. You make up a skeleton of lies that is written by Ibn Ishaq. That was written by Ibn Ishaq, whose grandfather was a Christian monk, allegedly. He was patronized by Al-Mansur, who was the headman for, obviously, Baitul Hikmah. And Al-Mansur set up a man in power as the greatest translator, Ishaq ibn Hunayn, another Ishaq. And once the skeleton was created of his Sirah, you started employing or patronizing hadith collectors from the same group of people, student and teacherhood, like Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Nasai, Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, to start lying more. And take up fictitious character, add some believing existing character, like Muawiyah. If you create Muawiyah, you create stories. For example, my forefathers came from an area in Naranganj called Arai Hazar. So if that Arai Hazar, the people are, say, 200 years ago, they were naive, they were simple-minded people who didn't have anything to belong to, no sense of belonging, no sense of pride, no sense of history, nothing. So my great-grandfather, who was Jamindar there, he brought in, I'm just saying hypothetically, he brought in someone from Delhi, allegedly Mr. Mufassir Islam, a great scholar. He's there. Then and there's elan, a renouncement that Mufassir Islam has been brought here, a great historian from great academic background. He's going to do some research into our area, find out about our past. And some of the young students of that area, some handful of his students like Faisul and Tawhid, they're given to him as assistants, and they're given good scholarship. And this man goes out and comes back and says, that's me. And I come back and say, there used to be a banyan tree here. And the banyan tree get business. And this banyan tree was implanted by, say, Ayan, who was a great scholar who visited Delhi, where I come from, very frequently. So the Arai Hazari people have suddenly a sense of belonging. And they can't question this Mufassir Islam because they don't know where he's come from, how much he knows, what is his scholarism, because they don't have the ability to question that. And they started setting up banyan trees everywhere. So after a century, they're proud of that banyan tree, because that banyan tree has connection with a great scholar, Mufassir Islam, who came from somewhere, I don't even know where from. So Ibn Ishaq was brought from somewhere else, far off place, to somewhere else. And he made up stories. And these stories are total lies, absolute lies. And these lies were spread more by tafsir writers. And this worked because the rulers wanted to control the scholars so that they could rule unruly tribal people together under one roof. So they told them, you know what? Eating is part of your life. Drinking is part of your life. Thinking is not part of your life. Doing ritual is part of your life. So do ritual, and religion is part of like a daily chore, like a daily chore. You do that. You eat, drink, be happy, and then you also do your prayer. And then you attack the Byzantinians because they are enemy. And you don't give Christians, Jews, any reason to follow their own religion. Why? Because you have absorbed everything in this character that you have given called, according to your personification of Muhammad, your personification. He used to do miracles, which Quran doesn't say. He split the moon, Quran doesn't say. He give even a fixed eyesight of a Sahaba, which Quran doesn't approve of. Then you have many stories, even circumcision. Hey, we are Jews, we do circumcision. Hey, we Muslims, we do as well. Hey, you know why? We'll have Antichrist. Hey, we have Dajjal. Hey, we have promised Messiah. Hey, we have Mahdi. So everything is absorbed into this synchronized faith of garbage. This is a garbage that we are following. This has nothing to do with the Quranic Islam. I'm being Islamic here, according to Quran. So bullshit. I'm sorry for my French. So this is what happened. Then you have issues like, now let's proceed more for 10 minutes. Then I will give the floor to Brother Likon here. 10 minutes more for me. Kaaba. There's not a single verse in the entire Quran where it says, go to Kaaba, bow to it, and say, God, I'm here. Because God says in the Quran that I'm closer to you than your jugular veins. But it says, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. You know what? Hey, God, I'm here, man. Knocking on your door, open up. It's not there in the Quran. Then you have Masjid al-Haram. It was not even there. Then you have Jamjam water, not in the Quran. You have black stone, not in the Quran. But you know what? Touching it, it absorbs sins. Because who said it? Tirmidhi said it. Tirmidhi said it. There's not a single verse in the entire Quran where it says you have to bow 5 times a day towards Kaaba in Makkah for your salvation. It's not there. So how do you pray 5 times? Why do you pray 5 times? Because prayer shouldn't be something that you have to do with certain Arabic words You have to do it in a perfect pronunciation, because otherwise God is deaf. He will not hear you. Is that what it is? God is deaf. He can't hear you if you don't have perfect pronunciation. You know what, Jamal Hassan Bhai, our mother tongue is not English. I think we both of us are quite facile with it. But, if I say, Jamal Hassan, brother, I love you. Or if I say, Jamal Hassan, brother, I love you, will it make any difference? Then again, but again, in the mullahs are saying, if you say, Ul hu Allahu ahad, it's okay. But if you say Kul hu Allahu ahad, then you are eating it. Is there a joke that Allah only listens to Arabic? How does it make sense? And you have to spend years. Allah says in the Quran that He gave the Quran for you to understand easily. First of all, it says that it was been given to the people of the mother of the city in Arabic. Then I said, okay, I'm giving it to you for you to understand easily. Is Arabic an easy language for us? Absurd. It's not. It can't be. Because my mother tongue is more facile with me than any other language in the world. And then it will justify, say, mental gymnastics. You know what? It's a rich language. Well, okay. How is it rich? Now coming to the Quran, coming to one man. It didn't come to one man. Chucked out. Shocking? Yes, it is. Quran was a compilation effort by Baitul Hikmah scholars. Because the oneness of God is, as I said, spread out on all kitabs or revelations or divine revelations. For example, I'll give you Surah 2, verse 135 to 136, when God says, you do not discard off all the previous scriptures. You don't. But you have, say, shirk there. You have problems there. Be careful of that. And when we pray, Idina siratal mustaqim siratal lazina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. We didn't say that, give us examples by Muhammad only. Come on, God, make it easy for me. No, He gives examples from prophets or people of great, not only prophets. He didn't say only prophets. For example, the Khizr was not a prophet, but even Musa was stunned by him. So there were examples of people who God was pleased with. So that's why it was an effort from spread out various scriptures to collect them together. I'll give an example, solid example, which Quran has totally chapter by chapter. It has been reproduced in the Quran from my research. I will show you now. Here it is. Okay, I will share the screen with you. Let's share the screen. It's a vivid example. I have put it down. Here is an example. Story of Joseph in Quran found in Surah 12, and a story of Joseph in the Bible found in the book of Genesis. Here, copy to copy the same chapter in the Quran with a slightly variant terminology, slightly variant terminology. The same story, slightly variant terminology, as you can see. So this is a reproduction. No question. You have to be out of your mind to deny it. Now, does it really matter that as a Muslim, does it really matter that if it is taken from the Bible? Does it? Because does the Quran say, chuck off, throw the Bible through the window? Does it say that? Surah 2, verse 135-36. Does it say in Surah 5, verse 43, 47, 44? It doesn't. So coming back to the question of Jamal Hassan said that, why do we see this effort? Because the Quran says, do not chuck it out. But you have to use your common sense. What to follow, what not to follow. Ritual is not there. What follow and what not to follow. Common sense. Why do we forget our common sense? Because in the Quran it says 70 times, think. We have got rid of that thinking. And the Quran didn't come to one man. There's another reason for that. I will tell you that. For example, Nordelke, I'm very bad at pronouncing German names. Nordelke, that should be the name. In the Quran, it's, if you read the various chapters of the Quran, if you see, for example, surahs that started with Qul, for example, Qul Huwallahu Ahad, Qul A'udhu bi Rabbin Nas, Qul A'udhu bi Rabbil Falaq, this and that. Their style of content, style of using words, subject matter, seem to be the same. And amazingly, the Quran uses many foreign words. There are either Pahlavi words, priority, or say Hebrew word priority, or you say Greek word even priority. You will see the verses, the surahs which are giving words to Pahlavi words, root words more, they are the same nature of style. Because Baitul Hikmah under Al-Mansur, there was an effort under scholars like Ishaq ibn Hunayn and many more, even Muslim scholars, who translated various books into Arabic and spread it out. This hallmark is everywhere in the Quran. For example, Quran uses the word sinin for Hebrew. Its root word is Hebrew. Wattina wa zaytuna wa tur sinin. Sinin is a Hebrew word, not Arabic. But in the other parts of the Quran, we have Arabic name for Sinin or the Sinai mountain. Why? Because the depiction, the teen, zaytun, the zaytun fruit are of that area. So when God is swearing by, say, Wattin was zaytun, wa tur sinin, on all that, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr, and all that. These are all the same style. And same, if you read it as if your brain will take you there in that scenario. The same happens to, say, biblical references or stories of the Bible, Surah Imran, Surah Baqarah, content, size. Similarities are there. So it can't be to the same man doing the same things in 22 years. Impossible. Now, coming back to, now you're going to shoot me. Don't shoot me. Put your guns in your holster. Then Allah says in Surah Fatiha, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, Hamd. That means praises. All praises only belongs to God. Only. If you don't believe it, then you are not a Muslim. If you say, I praise you, say, for the sake of Allah, I praise you. Allah says, don't, do something which will obviously create authenticity in someone's heart. The question comes, the name Muhammad itself has the word Hamd. And this word is not grammatically correct. Mu doesn't stand with another word to make it into a proper noun. It's Arabic grammar. Ask any Arabic expert. For example, Muazzin, it's not a proper name, it's a common noun. Muazzin, right? Mutazila. Mu. Then how come you're breaking the law and created Muhammad? How are you praising it? You're saying, you're praiseworthy, you're praiseworthy, you're praiseworthy. You're going against the very Quran. Doesn't stand. Then again, Yasin is probably his name, was name. There was a character, Yasin, because Yasin, many of the scholars even agree, Yasin, Surah Yasin, the word is probably someone's name. And that name is probably Muhammad, the man we're talking about. So it doesn't exist. Then I will take another 2 minutes, then to give the floor. Where was he born? Never mentioned in Quran. Where was he buried? In the first 300 years of Islamic history, not a single Islamic source, including Ishaq, says Muhammad was buried in a city named Medina or Taif or say, whatever you want to call it. They had two different names of Medina before Muhammad, during Muhammad and before Muhammad and after Muhammad. So Medina, the word Medina itself means city, because the word was used in the Quran for Surah Prophet Yusuf. Then Yathrib, thank you, Faisal. Then we have cities, use of the word Medina for Prophet Moses. So where was he buried? I don't know. Was he driven out from Mecca? I don't know, because the Quran doesn't say it. There's not a single evidence of Mecca being there. Now, Hajj is not there. Go to Hajj in Mecca, go around it 7 times, it's not there. In Quran, it's not there. So if hadiths are there, even for argument's sake, to explain Quran, you must have some sort of root in the Quran. It's not there. I give the floor now to Major Likon. Major Likon, you can give your opinion, comment, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah. It's actually a tremendous opportunity for me, being a student of Quran and the interactive religion, that we have got such a great researcher like Mufassir Islam Bhai. And also another brother is there, Mr. Hassan, who is a renowned poet. So I'm feeling really proud and really lucky
I'm
to
not a
be here.
poet, by the way.
And
Sorry. sorry. I can say I'm a researcher.
He's writer, yes.
Writer. Yeah. I can say, you can say that. Sorry.
He's a writer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So at the same time, I'm a little bit shaky because you people are so much, you are having so much scholarship on the subjects, and I'm just a beginner, you can say. But definitely, what I feel that from your research work, it is going to help me tremendously, as I'm also trying to do, or I'm also trying to find out various things as something is striking my mind many a times while going for studying the Quran and other religion. So definitely it is going to help me. Now, as you have mentioned that in Quran there is no surah was surah name and number was not given at the time of revelation, and also there is no Zair, Zabur, and Pesh or other various things. Yeah. So even there is no probably full stop. Probably there is no full stop as well. Okay. So so now it will be very easy. Definitely, it will be convenient for me to go for the further study of the Quran, but whenever I personally studied the Quran, actually after having some bit of research work, I found out by myself that is, we have to follow certain principle of studying the Quran, such as in the Quran, we know that our Creator, He has told that there is no contradiction in the Quran. So whenever I'll find any contradiction, so automatically that strikes my mind that there might be, yes, there might be some problem.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Quran doesn't say, Quran doesn't have any contradiction. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that.
No, there is a verse like that.
It doesn't say that.
There is a verse like that. However, we'll discuss it. Yeah.
I'll tell you what it says.
There is no, actually in the real Quran.
No,
in the real Quran, there should not have any.
No, I will tell you what it says though. You will not, if it was from not God from God, you would have found in it a lot of contradictions.
Yeah, so something like that. Yeah.
So where do you stand?
So whenever we get some,
we'll say if I go to Likonsbai's house,
yeah,
you will not find a lot of magazines. What does it mean? What does it mean?
That's okay.
No. What does it mean? If I say, if I go to Likonsbai's house, Brother Likon's house, and I will not find a lot of magazines, what does it say? What does it mean? Hassan bhai, do you get me what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
If I say, if I go to Jamal Hassan's house and I will not find a lot of books, what does it mean? I will find some books.
Obviously.
So Quran says you will not find, you would have found a lot of contradictions. That means you will find some contradictions.
Very good logic. Yeah, very good logic. Yeah.
Right? I think Likon Bhai has frozen, but I'll take the opportunity and I will proceed because I have a lot of things to cover. Let's go. I will take 10 minutes and give you the floor, Jamal Bhai. I will take 10 minutes. Now, coming back to the, I think he dropped, his connection failed. He'll join shortly, I'm sure. Then you have, for example, burial. There is no burial in Islam. It doesn't say how you bury or whether you bury at all the dead. You know, they will refer to, verses like, for example, where a crow was showing Adam's son how to bury the dead. But that was because he was living in a desert, probably, whose kind of environment, who knows. But then seeing the bird using the beak to bury the seed, the word kufr means to bury something under the earth, then in fact, the bird was telling Adam's son, you have committed a sin. But they have translated into believing that God was teaching him how to bury. This is a stupid, analogy by the so-called Muslim scholars. There's no burial, there's no janaza, there's no prayer for the dead in Quran. No prayer. It doesn't say you have to pray. It says, well, if you pray, if you don't pray, standing on the kafir's graves, you don't do that. But that, it doesn't by default says that you should pray. There are some people in the Quran that says who were praying for the previous believers, but there's not a verse which says, Allah says, go and pray for the dead. It doesn't say that. There's not a single verse in the Quran which says you have an intelligent soul outside the body. Quran doesn't say that. The word ruh is life, and nafsin means ruh and body when come together becomes nafsin, nafs. So the nafs will taste the death. It doesn't say that you will die and you will have an intelligent existence where you will interact, you will talk, you hear things. It doesn't say in the Quran. It says the shaheed or those who will live there in the ways of Allah, they're not dead as you perceive, because they will get the blessings, the rizq, they will get it. But that doesn't tell us what sort of life is that. What sort of life is that? Even this program has a life. So the barzakh is not clear. So intelligent, like a ghostly, like a pratatta thing, is not there. So if it is, Quran is not clear about that, to do all that mazar and all that, ritual for the dead is meaningless. If you say, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, peace be upon him, and he's in dead, the Prophet is dead, how is he important now? Surah 3, verse 144, prophets came and gone. They gave the message, it's gone. It doesn't make sense, does it? Then you have the concept of angels. There's not a single verse in the entire Quran where it said, angel Jibril stood before Muhammad and he gave the messages. It's not there. It's not there. Jibril, the word Jibril means power of God. So it gives in the heart of the Prophet. It doesn't say he was an angel as a malaika, Jibril, he came and he stood before Muhammad in human shape and delivered the message. It's not there. Then you have the Mikhail, the angel, Mikhail. So angel Mikhail is another nonsense concept of angel being Mikhail by the name. Because Mikhail, if you search the root word, Mikhail means something that resembles God. So was the angel Mikhail resembling God? It means the power. Then you have Malak al-Maut, Malak. The word Malak means king. It means somebody with authority, power. Malaka means queen, or the feminine version of it. But the word Malaika is angel, not Malak. Like Malak Taut of the Yazidis. The angel who in fact was like a king, was a power of God in this world. So the Malak Maut, no angel can be the owner. Even if you say Malik means, even if you say authority, no angel can be the authority of life and death. Only God can be. So Malak Maut is the word Malak Maut is an interpolation of the Maut goddess, Egyptian goddess, who carried life, who was the authority of life and death. If you see Malak Maut, you will see Malak Maut, or say goddess Maut. Go and search M-A-U-T. Do it. You will see she's also called Mut. She has an ankh in her hand. It is the carrier of life. To Amun. Rejected them. So there's no such thing in the Quran. Then you have interpolations like Abu Bakr's and Muhammad's story of being in the cave and all that, being one reassuring another. This is another biblical story which was interpolated in the Quran, because that biblical story, or if you don't say interpolated, then you say this chapter was copied from there, and I have no problem with that, because that has nothing to do, that doesn't take me out of the faith issue, because I believe those were God's revelations as well, because Prophet Solomon, in fact, was hiding in the cave, and that is taken from the Bible. Then you have Quran is universal? No, it was for the time being. It was for some common people, some naive people. the central message universal, you can say, if you are a believer, but it can't be. It was in Arabic. And the depictions are for ordinary people. For example, you don't need to tell someone today, when you come to a congregation, you have to wash yourself. You should go to a toilet and wash up. You don't have to say it. You don't come to this program like today being drunk. Because you're talking about Prophet's followers who were totally nincompoop most of the time. They were worshiping him, even if you take it. For example, there were Bukhari, if it is true, Bukhari is saying that the Prophet's followers, one of the followers who stood up on top of a roof, of a room, and he was looking on how the Prophet was, doing his toilet, which way he was facing. And he would take water, spit in it, then all the followers will fight over it to drink to get blessing. What kind of stupid people were there? And you have titled it Sahaba, they're all true. Who told you? Because some of the Sahabas were having their tongues out. So rubbish and munafiqs they were. According to Quran, Surah 33, Surah Azab, they were trying to get wives, or Prophet's wives. They were chatting up with her. So you call that Sahaba as well. There's not a single evidence of Abu Bakr, Omar, Osman being in existence. Imagine this, Jamal Bhai. Imagine this, that you are a king, you are a ruler who ruled for many years and conquered many lands. You conquered Morocco, you conquered, say, Egypt, you conquered Syria and all that, a vast area, such a vast area. And there were many scholars who were writing many things, even about their other scholars. They did not even bother to write a single sentence about Abu Bakr, Omar, Osman. Why? There's not a single inscription, not a single coin, because there were even coins in the name of local governors. Why? Jamal Bhai, why? I don't see any reason. Why? Then you have, say, issues like Muawiyah, Yazid, Yazid killing Prophet's family. But I couldn't set up any connection between Muawiyah and Yazid. Sorry, Muawiyah and Ali, and Ali's connection with Muhammad's family. I couldn't say it. Then you have the names like Aisha. Listen to this hypocrisy. Aisha and Hafsa, if they were Prophet's wives, they were condemned by Quran. They were disciplined. And they were told they're not being good Muslims. Who? Hafsa and Aisha, Surah 65, Surah 33. And Islamic history says that the very first copy of Quran was trusted with Hafsa. Come on, give me a break. Then Aisha, who always taunted the Prophet, according to Quran, if her name was Aisha, she became the ultimate of the two Sunni Hadith narrators, like, Aisha and Abu Huraira. Give me a break again. Because, they amazingly, Hassan Bhai, I've seen another thing, all the Prophet's wives and everything, amazingly, they all vanished after the death of Prophet. We don't know much about them. Even we don't know actually how Aisha died. They're confusing. Why? We don't have much story about the deathbed situation of those. They were all, you know what? They were good people. They all called Allah's names and they died. It's like Virgin Mary vanished after Jesus. Vanished. So all the Prophet's wives and partners, they vanished. They simply vanished from history. Unless they were made up. All these wives are made up. And we don't know, because we don't know the names of them outside Quran. We don't know. So what do you call this? Stories? Lies? It's like a Raman and Sita story. Then you have, Battle of Hara. If it took place, all the greatest scholars were killed anyway. Then we have halal, haram. How do you say, what is halal, what is haram? Lizard, halal. Snake, halal. According to Quran, it can't be haram. Because Allah didn't say the haram. It's haram, it's halal. Donkey, halal. You have cat, halal. Dog, halal. According to Quran, I'm Quran here. But you have pig haram. What the hell with pig? Unless it was for a certain period, certain people, certain time. Definitely. Because Allah says in the Quran as well that He made haram for the Jews to eat fat, animal fat on the bones. There was certain reasons for that. You make it universal. Why? Because, you know what? You have certain diseases from pig. Oh yeah, I give it to you. Okay. There are many things, many serious diseases from certain other animals which are worse. So they are halal. There's not a single verse in the Quran where it says you have to take Allah's name when slaughtering. It says when you eat, take Allah's name. So KFC is halal. Because Surah 5 verse 5 says that food from the Jews and the Christians, they're halal. So these are all rubbish. Then you have Surah Fil, the timing. Another 2 minutes, then it goes to you, Jamal Bhai. Surah Fil, when it says, who's gonna recite Surah Fil for me? Go ahead. Alam tara kaifa fa'ala rabbuka bi'ashabil fil. Alam tara kaifa fa'ala rabbuka bi'ashabil fil. See this word, alam tara, it means, have you not seen? Have you not seen? Have you not seen? No, the Prophet didn't see, because even if Abraha was trying to attack the Kaaba, that took place allegedly before the birth of Muhammad. So why Allah is saying, alam tara, have you not seen? Is he joking or something? The Prophet was told, have you not seen and taken into account? Alam tara kaifa fa'ala rabbuka bi'ashabil fil. No, I didn't see. And in the whole surah, the word Kaaba not even mentioned. So that's why, as I told you from the beginning, Surah Fil and Surah Quraysh need to be read together. It still won't make sense, because I'm going to prove that Quraysh is referring to something more dire. Then Surah Fil, you say Alam Tara has come somewhere else in the Quran. Yes, it's once more, because another prophet was having another experience when he was living about certain community, which he experienced. That was not to Muhammad. That verse was not to Muhammad. So these are, see, carbon dating, Jamal Bhai, when they found the Birmingham manuscript, they jumped, we found the oldest manuscript. Now, when they carbon dated it, they found out the probability is 97.5%. They were revealed before Muhammad's time of revelation. 568 is the earliest time, those carbon dating. Now say carbon dating is wrong, we can't rely on carbon dating. Hypocrisy. Surah Lahab, what's the purpose of reading it today? What's the purpose of reading it today? Surah Lahab. Now, the last thing is from this segment is, if you read the history of the tribes, say Banu Umayyah, Banu Hashim, and then Banu Makhdoom. Umayyah, Hashim were never in control of the area called Makkah or around that region. Banu Makhdoom was. Imagine the most powerful are the Umayyads, because they were the one against the Muslims, or Banu Hashim mainly, in Battle of Uhud. Then Muslims, or Banu Hashim mainly, won the war against Banu Makhdoom in Badr. The leader of Banu Makhdoom was allegedly Abu Jahl. Abu Jahl not even mentioned in the Quran. Even if Abu Jahl was, even if Banu Makhdoom was ruling that. So if Muhammad was driven out of that area, shouldn't Abu Jahl get priority in Quranic description? He was not even mentioned. Then Umayyads, they all suddenly, allegedly, after the death of Muhammad, migrated to Syria, because Muawiyah was given the charge of that place. How is it possible? You had Justinian plague, far worse than COVID-19 today. Battle of Aus, the plague of Aus, Amwas. So plague of Aus was there, and you expect thousands of Umayyads to migrate to Syria during that period of Umar? Absurd, impossible. You can't vision that. thousands of people who had died in Syria, and thousands of Umayyads will fly there, unless Umayyads were always there. And Muhammad, or Yasin, the character, in fact, was a Syriac man. Coming to you, Jamal Hassan Bhai. Questions or comments or your opinion?
Okay, important thing, as you are talking about pig or pork, pig meat. I hope most of our audiences know that the origin goes not in Islam, the prohibition, it goes to Judaism. So I'm going to the Jewish law, Leviticus 11:7-8, and just quoting it. And the pig, because it has a cloven hoof that is completely split, but will not regurgitate its cud. Cud is that you are just chewing from your whatever you ate, basically. You are not not chewing it again. That means you are not you're chewing your own food.
Right.
So it is unclean for you. You shall not eat of their flesh, and you shall not touch their carcasses. They are unclean for you. That means pigs are also, described, as I told you, in Torah as a prohibited animal. But also, if you talk about Old Testament, Deuteronomy expands on the list of permitted animals. Mufassal talked about permitted animals under Islam, and I'm going to the Judaism. You shall not eat any abomination. These are the animals that you may consume: ox, lamb, and kid, gazelle, deer, and antelope, ibex, chamois, bison, and giraffe. And every animal that has a split hoof and has a hoof cloven into two hoof sections, choose the cud among the animals that you may eat. So those are the things, basically. So anyway, you mentioned another thing during a long narrative. You said about laws. Of course, Catholic people have laws. If you talk about canon law, I'm just describing the canon law is a set of ordinances and regulations made by ecclesiastical authority, church leadership, that means, for the government of a Christian organization or church and its members. It is the internal ecclesiastic law or operational policy governing the Catholic Church, as we see in Latin Church and Eastern Catholic churches, and Eastern Orthodox and Oriental Orthodox churches, and the individual national churches within the Anglican Communion. The way that such church law is legislated, interpreted, and at times adjudicated varies widely among these four bodies of churches. So in all three traditions, a canon was originally a rule adopted by a church council. These canons formed the foundation of canon law. Look, clergy's roles here. So you cannot just discount that the other religions, Christianity part of Christianity do have their laws.
I said Jesus didn't give laws. Jesus says,
Okay. Again, I'm bringing the same thing. Is the human being, clergy, is whatever. I agree with you 100%.
Yes.
So
Paul was the father of all laws, then St. Augustine and all that.
Yeah, same thing you can talk about Quran also. Quran didn't give laws. You may not find any canon laws in Quran.
That's right.
But how come the Sharia law comes?
You
may wonder.
That's the thing. Because they needed the pattern to discipline unruly tribes. The pattern was the Sharia, based on the hadiths and all that nonsense, Because if you can't bring all the tribes into one order, you can rule them.
Hey, question now, $1 million question now. Many imams from Medina, Al-Azhar, they will say Sharia is a divine law. Proof, just defend it, please. Defend those imams. Is Sharia a divine law?
No, I can't defend nonsense. Because the thing is, they will claim that Sharia is divine. My question is, okay, is Bukhari divine then? All you need to do is to prove it to me that Bukhari wrote Bukhari. Drop down. Muslim wrote Muslim, job done. Prove it to me. You can't do it. Then the question comes, can you prove it that what sort of relationship the jurist had with the hadith collector? They were at each other's throats. Bukhari didn't like Imam Abu Hanifa. But Abu Hanifa, we call ourselves in Bangladesh Hanafi Mazhab. My question is, really, are you serious about it? Somebody, and you follow, you call yourself Ahle Hadith, or you call yourself, Hadith lovers, and you don't know what sort of a stand Bukhari had from his teacher as well.
Still, I'm not a great scholar of Hadith, but I can tell you, you also agree with me. Many of the rituals, like ablution, even praying, those are derived from narratives in Hadith. If you just discount the Hadith, how a Muslim can practice Islam?
You don't have to. You don't have to practicing the traditional way. You don't have to. For example, if I say I'm going to follow Bukhari to do the ablution, question comes, how many times? In Bukhari, then you say, oh, no, what? You have to know how to do the science of Hadith. Hell, I know how to do the science of Hadith. Because 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, come on, make up your mind. The bottom line is you just wash yourself. Is it ritual? No, it's not. It's a cleanliness. At-tuhuru satrul iman. It's a cleanliness, if you say that. And even the Quran says, if you read the background, it is just for cleanliness. Somebody coming from desert and coming into congregation, just wash yourself, man. That's how it is, in fact, in the Quran. But it has turned into a ritual. It's like water worship. The Yemeni area, they have Dat Badan worship, water goddess. The same thing goes for Hindu water goddess, the Zoroastrian goddesses and all that, the Syriac goddesses, water goddesses. These are all water worship. And it has come down to a situation, Zamzam. How can your all water be blessing? It can be blessing in the sense that Jalaluddin Rumi said that ordinary people say water as the quenching of thirst, but the wise will see it as life. If you say that that's a niyama, okay, fine. But to do that, to say, you have to take the Zamzam water, turn to the Qibla and drink, where did you get all that? So these are all baseless. And laws in, Christianhood, the Christendom, they turned into problem, taking it as laws. And they have the, movements like Martin Luther, where he protested, and the Protestants created Protestant movements. And they broke up the Bible. The Catholic Bible has a dozen more chapters than the Protestant Bible, because they started, throwing out.
So, Mufassal, are you going to be the other Martin Luther of Islam?
I am bigger than him.
Okay. Now, one relevant question. Yes, I take your humor. As you said about Zamzam, Blackstone, maybe a supernatural thing came from heaven.
Yes.
Why not? Why not Blackstone?
Well, if you're gonna call the skies the heavens, okay, yeah. The heavens broke. That means the rain started. Okay, I'll take it. But if you read the meteorite history of from world archaeologists and all that, you will see there was a meteorite shower in 570, which took place around April, and around that time, and stones started falling from the skies, and people started collecting those stones and started worshiping them. That's why even Prophet Ibrahim's followers, they started going the Baitul, the stone going round and round. Even if the Bukhari supports that, some of the people, they called themselves the Prophet Ibrahim's followers, but they were going round and round and round because they were trying to connect with heaven somehow. But the Quran says very clearly in Surah 2, verse 22 to 24, the stones will be the fuel with you in hell. Why is that? Because you are kissing the stone and saying, oh, he's gonna, like Tirmizi said, it used to be white, it turned black. But in fact, it's not true. What was happening in Kaaba or in a temple, as I've dug deep into atlases of the past, I've collected quite a few manuscripts. There was a temple there around that area where there are two stones, one black, one white. So Tirmizi lost track of it and said, you know what, kissing it became black because it sucked, it says that it sucked our sin or something. Blackness in hadith is a terrible situation because racism is flooded in hadith. It's flooded, no way to deny it. Then I will take another 5 minutes, Jamal Bhai, then I will give the floor to Likon Bhai. Then you have situations like, how do you pray? When you go to prayer, if Allah can read my heart, He can read my thought, He can know my cravings or what I should do before even I know. Why do I have to pray in a certain motion, with certain words, certain time? If God is infinite, the means to seek Him should be infinite as well, isn't it? But I have to do a certain way. Why is that? It doesn't make sense to me at all. It doesn't make sense to me at all that I have to pray in a certain word, certain lingua, certain mannerism. It doesn't make sense. Then you have like Khatam, the last prophet. Where did you get it from? The Quran doesn't, then the Quran should have said, this is the last revelation, I'm done for. I had enough of you humans. This is the last book. Bye-bye, that's it, going to hell. Get ready, Corona Ibrahim is going to tell you, you're going to burn in hell. Imam Mahdi is almost here. It doesn't say that. Quran rather says that get ready. It can happen anytime before you even know it, right? So be worried. So Allah doesn't say, rather said when Adam was told that, don't worry, I will send messages to your future children time to time. If they follow the guidance, you don't have to worry. He didn't say, you know what, I'm going to give you guidance until Muhammad comes. Then that's it, job finished. I will have enough of you. It doesn't say. Then khatam, the word khatam means mark of perfection, because the word khatam was used for bottle as well. The bottle of the perfect drinking, perfect drink. Imagine they say, Allah has sealed your ears, Allah has sealed your heart. No, He doesn't. He said, people hearing the hear not, seeing the see not, neither do they understand. The same word you will find in Bible as well. Quran says they are like donkeys, they can't hear themselves. So when you will know, people like many of my viewers who are mullahs, they will say, oh man, I don't want to hear all this, because you know what? They don't want to hear it. Hearing the hear not, seeing the see not. They were writing the comments. They're saying the references. They seeing the see not, neither do they understand. For them, who are the kafir? Who are the hiding people? The hiding who hide. This is their mark. This is the trademark. That's what Quran is saying. This is the trademark. It's not that their heart was sealed. Then you have issues like praying for the dead. There's nothing in the Quran to say that, to instruct you to do that. Then you have Eid. It doesn't even exist in the Quran.
So I'm sorry to interrupt now. I'm sorry, maybe it's not my time.
Yeah, I think Bobby is going to kill me. No,
yeah, yeah. Please don't mention that. Okay. Listen, what I'm saying that you are saying that many things are not written in Quran, so you can say same thing about many rituals, about many religions. For example, like how you pray in front of Durga or Lakshmi, maybe all the details are not written in their Hindu holy books. So these are so-called clergy-made, man-made, or whatever. So my question is, what's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong. If you do, as long as you don't impose it on me, and you say this is the way, this is the only way, I have nothing wrong with it. Because the Quran says in Surah 2, verse 111, if you read it, Surah 2, verse 111, they say, you say, O Christians and Jews, if we don't follow your way, we have no heaven. Because the Bible says very clearly, I am the way to the Father, right? So unless you go through the Son, you will not get a Father. He was trying to say that during his time, he was the only way, because all were submerged into kuffar like today. I am the way. So this is what was suggesting. The Quran says, as long as a central message are the same, if you're a Christian, Jew, Sabian, doesn't matter. Surah 2, verse 62. You are the one who's saying you're the only way. I'm not saying you're the only way, because Allah says that in the Quran as well, that you do wasila, various ways to seek God. Your heart, Innamal amala binniyah. It's a mutawatir hadith, that your intention that counts. So if you play music and you say, I'm playing music, I want to please connect with God, then I will say, listen to tabla of Zakir Hussain, right? Zakir Hussain, isn't it? Zakir Hussain. So beautiful tabla player. What's wrong with it? This dogmatic view has to be crushed. That's my position is. Now, Likun bhai, your floor.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Am I audible? Can
Yes.
you listen to me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay.
You're freezing. I don't know why Likun bhai freezes up. I don't know why. Likun bhai, change your...
Actually, the things we have studied. So once I read the Quran, at this moment, this Quran is a concept for me. It's a concept. It's a concept. And many things, as you mentioned, that I also didn't find the Eid, then the circumcision. Rather, circumcision, I found that in Surah number 4, ayat number 119. That is the job of the devil. So
yes, cutting the ears.
that is, yeah, that is job of the devil. So we are following something which is actually not following our creator. So that's against the Quran. So again, you have mentioned another surah, that is Surah Lahab. I was thinking several times what actually this Surah Lahab means. Then probably I could understand. Probably I could understand that actually there is nobody called Lahab. At this moment, we know that Lahab, he is uncle of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our Prophet Muhammad. But actually, that Lahab may not exist. Even that is not needed. Actually, what is the Surah Lahab? Means his hands, both the hands should go astray or destroyed. Then just immediate after the verse, that is actually the something is related to our wealth or the money. So his money or the wealth doesn't come into the well-being of the people. So at the same time, if you go to the following verses, his wife or the wife is also will go to the hellfire or something like that. So what I have understood from that verse, from that surah, that all are rich and grabbing the money all by themselves. Okay, so it is a clear warning. Actually, Surah Lahab is a clear warning. According to me, Surah Lahab is a clear warning to the people, richer people, those who are not actually utilizing their money for the well-being of the society.
The question comes: why are you repeating it to God?
Pardon?
Why are you repeating it to God? Why? Why are you telling this to God?
No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. It is not necessary. It is the matter that we should understand it and we should implement.
That's right. So
those teaching in our life.
Imagine this. There was variance. There was big fights. Nobody wants to talk about it. Abdul ibn Masud. Even Bukhari says, I don't want to give emphasis to Bukhari, but those of you who, I may say to my audience, those of you who believe in Bukhari, my question is, even Bukhari says Abdul ibn Masud was one of the greatest Quran scholars. I mean, the Prophet says, learn Quran from him. Abdullah ibn Masud had a fallout with Osman. He had a fallout with Osman. Osman was not greatest Quranic scholar. Abdullah ibn Masud was by name by the Prophet. So Abdullah ibn Masud was not given due respect by Uthman. Zaid ibn Thabit was not named as a Quran scholar by Prophet. Then the question comes, why Abdullah ibn Masud was sidelined when he said the word kul in Surah Ikhlas shouldn't be there because it doesn't make sense. Because Allah was probably telling the Prophet kul, but why the hell should I say this? So when I stand for prayer and say kul say Allah is one. Who the hell am I saying? Am I telling Allah to say, or am I telling myself to say in prayer? If it is a conversation and I'm telling you, Likon bhai, say, Mufasil, I am your brother. It doesn't make a conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, Mufasil, an
That
important
doesn't
thing.
make sense.
Go ahead.
If you sir,
I'm sorry, Major Likon.
that means that if I say that I have given Kausar,
Yeah.
I have given Kausar. So that doesn't make actually sense. And repeating the same surah several times, that doesn't make sense. Actually, Kausar means it is a blessing of Allah who has given this Kausar to each of us. Each of us. We are taking
Jamal bhai, you wanted to say something important.
Major Likon brought
a lot of blessings, lot of things around us, and we should utilize those things for the betterment of the well-being of the society and the people, and we should help ourselves as well. Yeah, Hassan bhai.
Major Likon brought the Abu Lahab scenario, and I think most of our audience knows, but we can remind it. I'm just quoting from Arab News, and publication I think is published from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Abu Lahab is the only person from the enemies of Islam. By the way, Abu Lahab was Prophet of Islam's uncle. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, his uncle, Abu Lahab. He's the only person from the enemies of Islam who has been cursed by name in the Holy Quran. Although he was an uncle of the Holy Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he staunchly opposed Islam from the very beginning. When the Holy Prophet climbed Mount Safa and addressed the tribes and his clansmen saying, "O Banu Abd al-Muttalib, O Banu Fir, O Banu Lu'a, would you believe me if I say that there is an enemy at the foot of this mountain behind, ready to launch an attack on you?" Okay, now it was a great shock on the first day of the declaration of prophethood and invitation to the true religion of Islam. Almighty Allah sealed Abu Lahab's fate and later revealed Surah 111 in the Holy Quran, reading, "Perished be the hands of Abu Lahab and ruined he be. Neither his wealth nor what he has earned shall avail him. He shall shortly roast in a flaming fire, and his wife, laden with fagots, shall have a rope of palm fiber round her neck." Al-Quran 111:15.
Yeah.
Actually, things is that what is the implication of those verses for us? If we think in this way, in that case, whether he is the uncle of the Prophet or somebody else by name, it is not actually necessary. Actually, what I have understood from that, given to the all richer people, so that they utilize their earnings and also expenditure. Both the hands. One hand is for the earnings and one hand is for the expenditure. Earning has to be in a way so that they earn the money according to the God's will, and they will spend the money according to the God's will.
Sorry to interrupt. Can we not say black is black, white is white?
Yeah, of course.
Can we not stop forcing ourselves from creating mental fictions? Because I've given you thus far examples of interpolation in the Quran, no question about it. Because Allah didn't say that he would preserve the Mushaf. The things that you're saying, okay, if that's a way to describe it, but this is not something which probably somebody will pick up the book and find it to be so. You have to get a discussion. It can be individual finding. It's okay. I respect that.
Yeah.
It's an individual finding. But if somebody picks up the book and reads these words, he will take it as someone who was cursed. I don't see any reason for this surah even being there, honestly. I believe that this is like Surah Quraysh was also interpreted. The whole thing was interpreted. Because this is obnoxious. I don't want to curse. God doesn't curse like that and wants us to curse 24 hours like that. That doesn't fit my intellect. But coming to other issues, for example, I find Quran to be confusing at times. For example, Surah Ikhlas is not enough for an intelligent man of the 21st century for me to understand what God is. It's not up to my level of understanding. You can say for ordinary people, yeah, good enough. But for intelligent, higher intelligent people, no. Because I want to know.
But at the same time, if you study wal awwalu wal akhiru wal zahiru wal batinu, then you can get some more ideas. Then if you go for the Ayatul Kursi, that is verse number 2 to 5, 255.
I know this. I'll tell you, with every word I try to do research into Quran. For example, you said Zahiru, Batilu. You saw the words, Zahiru, Batilu. This is he's hidden and also expressed. Yeah, Zahir.
Yeah.
Now the question is, why these words? Because if you read Surah 38 and 1 to 5, you will say that non-believers were saying that, what are you trying to do? You're trying to put all gods in one God? Are you crazy? Because this thing, for example, hidden. There was an Egyptian god called Amun. Amun. A-M-U-N. You can Google it. He was called the hidden one. Amun. The other hidden thing is jinn.
Yeah.
Hidden. So gods, different gods have different qualities. And that's why when God is saying, in the Quran is saying that God has all these qualities, Zahir, Batil, the non-believers are finding it confusing. You're saying, oh, you have Amun's quality as well? You know what I mean? They got confused. So my question is, I want to have some more exclusive rights of God. Exclusive. For example, Allah says the kun fayakun. He says, and it is.
Yeah.
But the question is, why does he need Azrael, which is not even mentioned in the Quran, to take my life? That's why it didn't make sense to me. That's why the mouth thing come out. Then again, the question comes, there's not a single verse in the entire Quran where it says everything in heaven and earth. There is verses like he created everything. He created things, all things, all things. But I want a clearer verse because the Quran says it is clear, unambiguous. It encompasses everything. Surah 12 verse 1, Surah 18 verse 1. Again, Surah 3 verse 6 says he kept some of the things obscure, some of the things clear. But the thing is, if you have ilm, knowledge, everything should be clear.
Yeah.
But the thing is, some exclusive qualities, like he created everything, heaven, earth, hereafter, heaven after. He created, not only heaven, he created heaven and earth, but everything in it. I need to know. Why? Because there are gods like Brahma, or there are gods who created certain things and he left other small gods to take care of things. Allah says that he's in control of everything, but doesn't say that he runs everything. He doesn't say, I created everything, heaven, earth, in it. He says a control. Okay. Then you have even things hereafter, even not clear. I'm not clear. There are many things which are not clear to me.
Yeah.
The Quran has mumbled up. It's just jumbled up, totally jumbled up in language, in timeline order.
Especially one more, few more things I have noticed in the Quran, that especially the namaz, or actually that salah, is actually totally misunderstood by the people. And again, the zakat, it is means purifications. Actually, that should be the zakat. But the meaning of the zakat has gone. Meaning of the zakat. Yeah.
There's not a single.
Then the abolition. Yeah.
There's a single verse in the Quran where it connects zakat with money. There's not a single verse.
Yeah.
Some of these.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah.
Tawbah, some of them try to justify zakat with money, bringing sadaqah into zakat perception, because they translate into zakat. The liars do that.
Yeah.
They put zakat instead of sadaqah in Quran. They do that. The areas of sadaqah. You know why? Because the madrasa people, they make money out of it.
Yes. Yes.
They want arms.
So there are a lot of actually conspiracy, and because of those people have to leave their life on to the depending on the religion. That's why they have made a lot of
Can I ask all of you? Can I ask all of you, including Hassan?
yeah.
Can I ask all of you, including Hassan, by the level of my understanding of Tawheed, oneness of creating power, the power, almighty power. That's my faith, My faith, I think Jamal Bhai has quite similar understanding as well, that there is an infinite power, that the infinite power, we can be infinite to some understanding as well. For example, you can have a battery, car battery, you have the car, you make it at the same time. Car battery runs the car, but car battery didn't make the car. So if God is infinite, he cannot create anything finite. He cannot. God cannot create another God because that will have a definite beginning. But the higher thinking that I have come to is God cannot create finite existence unless that existence is apparently finite. This is my last phase of discussion. If you're walking, for example, you're walking, you take every step has a beginning and an ending. But if you keep walking infinitely, it has no purpose, right? So our apparent living has a beginning and ending, but we don't have to be finite. So say, for example, you take it, draw a line, you draw a line, a straight line, and take that as infinite. And then if to be infinite, it cannot have anything to influence it from within and from outside. It cannot have anything, because otherwise it will just, it's infinite, unless then I have to say something has to be more powerful to influence it. Am I correct? You got this so far, right? Yeah. So if that's the case, why suddenly an infinite power thought, you know what, I'm going to create? Because we have to plan. For example, we humans, we plan. Because what? We are influenced by our outside existence constantly. Or we are hungry. I'm going to make a cup of tea now. I'm internally influenced. Or I'm feeling hot now. You turn the fan on. But God is not influenced by anything internally, externally. Then why should he suddenly decide in an infinite space of time? Suddenly, you know what? I'm going to create. I'm going to create Jamal. I'm going to create Likon. I'm going to create the planet Earth. Why? How is that possible?
Only, sorry to interrupt, if you allow me.
No, I'm just asking you, rather.
Okay, I think the answer could be, it's the grand design. Answer is just a grand design.
Grand design of what?
Of the unknown.
Of the unknown. So the designer suddenly decided to design.
If you can say probability-wise, anything is probable. Anything is probable.
I mean, if an infinite existence suddenly decided to decide, the question comes: he had all the reasons infinite. He's planning everything has to be infinite, because science says anything falls into infinite, it becomes infinite. So suddenly, what prompted him? He's not like human being. With age, he evolves, he changes, he thinks, his thinking pattern grows. It's not that. So
now, scientifically speaking, you know that the stars have life cycle, okay? And if you just, forget about, just not to talk about Qiyamah. Scientists would say after a couple of billion years, Earth will be gobbled up by red giant. Sun will become the red giant, okay? Look at this. Red giant will gobble up everything in the solar system, okay? Then it will become a black hole, okay? Again, it will suck everything. So it's a continuous process. If you think about from that angle, you can see that it is a continuous process. We don't know where it ends.
The question is, if Big Bang keeps on repeating it, it's
infinite. Yeah, exactly. It goes on and on and on.
So if it is an infinite thing, keeps on Big Bang, again Big Bang, then if it is infinite, then my question comes back to the same thing. If God is infinite, then we are infinite as well in a way.
Exactly. If you consider even if you consider reincarnation,
Yes.
or even if you don't believe in reincarnation, you die, your energy still remains.
Right.
I mean, something is there.
Right.
You are not finished.
I know what you're saying. No, I have 10 more issues to complete, then we are done. Then we have to open up floor for questions. Then we have issues like universal prophet. Muhammad cannot be a universal prophet. His central message can be universal because all the prophets have the same quality, same mission, same purpose. So to give him overemphasis is coming against the hadith as well. The prophet said very clearly, don't give me too much emphasis. Don't over-respect me. But we are now to follow someone, how he used to eat, how he used to have sex, how he used to wear shoes, how he used to have taken bath in the 21st century is absurd. Simply absurd. It is copying. I mean, wearing a beard, how can it be related to my divine quest? This is the easiest job. Mashallah, our Likon Bhai has some beard. I shaved it off. Now, today, if Jamal Bhai and I, and all three of us keep looking at each other for 4 days, we'll all grow beard. Easiest job. You don't have to do anything. You simply don't do anything. Easiest job. So how this easy job can be part of our increase of faith? But like researchers like me, when I sometimes wear long, our beards growing because I don't have the time to shave off. That kind of beard I respect. But to take it as a symbol is rubbish. And then to have a universal dominance of the religion is another work of the underdogs, or I would say the naives, because they don't have anything else to live for. Power. Because by you're muted. Then you have things like Tawheed is not up to the mark. Then Quran, amazingly, it does. I will tell you why it is central message, as if you're a believer is universal, central. There's a God. Okay. But the question is, as I said, issues like atheism, theism. Surah 44 deals with some sort of atheism, but atheism, theism, Surah 45 as well. So atheism, theism, dualism, agnosticism. Quran doesn't, it's not, Quran should have been clear in the 21st, to be applicable in 21st century, universally, it should have been clear, Jamal Bhai, that what is theism, what is agnosticism, what is deism, how should we deal with it, how they are wrong, how they are right? Am I correct? This is being, well, no, somebody is saying, Quran says, what I did tell you. I can't be more clearer. I trying to say, Quran should have defined it clearly. What is agnosticism? What is deism? What is dualism? What is theism? There are many isms. Even process theology. See, we forget to give ourselves credit to in this 21st century, how theologically even they have progressed. H.G. Wells, my favorite writer, H.G. Wells, he wrote a book, you all know, War of the Worlds, then you have the Bionic Man and all that. But H.G. Wells also did intensive research on process theology. What is process theology? Many of the clergy forget about Muslim clergy. They don't even know what is process theology. Then Christians did some research, the Nestorian Christians and all that. What is God and human impersonation, in personification? But they had serious fights over it. Even that Protestant Christianity, Catholic Christianity had battles on small issues. But Islam, the concept of Tawheed actually was not really dealt with. That's why when you question some of the Islamic issues, like you and I, like I'm doing it today, they'll call me Nastik, atheist. Because their perception of atheism is primal, like children. If you're not a Muslim, according to our definition, you are kafir. You know what I mean? You are Nastik. They don't even know there are atheism, agnosticism, dualism, theism. These are concepts. They don't know because Quran doesn't teach you that in details. But this is the 21st century, demand of the 21st century. If you don't have a Quran, write one. Because I can claim you that I am the one who is following purer monotheism, purer than the mullahs of today. 99% of Muslims are, according to Quran, they're going to hell. They'll burn in hell. According to Quran, I'm talking about as a believer now. You're all going to hell. Now, Likon Bhai, floor to you.
Sure. Yes. As because so far you have spoken, these are absolutely many things actually is going over my head because you have studied a lot. Few things it is very difficult to digest, even difficult to conceive those ideas. However, I'll study onto those, but at the same time, at the last, what you have spoken, that yes, according to Quran, many of the so-called Islamic scholars, they are actually they are not following Quran. They are following their way of their teaching, their teachers.
Can I ask you a question?
And they are following false beliefs.
You have a slow internet, but I'll ask you a question. Question is this.
Okay.
I send you a message through my son. I send you a message through my son. He comes to you and delivers you a letter. You say, okay, thank you very much, bye-bye. Now, if you don't love him as my son, take him in and treat him as my son, probably you're there. Likon Bhai, you're there. Your light is gone, is it? Electricity is gone.
Oh, I think so.
Electricity has gone in my location. Now, can you see me here?
I can't see you because I'm not a ghost. I can see in the dark.
Can you see me?
Yes. Yeah. So my question is, if you don't recognize the messenger, does it harm the message? If you don't recognize the messenger, does it harm the message?
No, actually, how do we find our messenger at this moment? Because he is not there. He is not alive.
The simple question is,
we have the message with us.
If you don't recognize somehow the messenger, but you recognize the message, and then you said, "Oh, that was his brother's son." Okay, well, I should have given him some tricks, yeah. But he's gone. But he's not important. He's gone. The message is important. Is Likon Bhai, we have an invitation to come to this program. This is important. But what Muslims of today are doing are running after the messenger, glorifying the messenger. But the Quran says in 3 messengers will come and go, come and go, come and go. Not important. The important are the wise men of today. Islamic is awliya, not the Pir Darbesh that you worship today in Bangladesh. Awliya, real awliya, scholars, alims, who do not need certificates from madrasas to guide you to the right path of oneness. Is that what it is? But again, one last thing I must mention before I forget, which is Ismail. The Quran doesn't say that which prophet's sons of the prophet would be slaughtered, sacrificed, Ismail or Isaac. It doesn't say that. It is taken as
that's the controversial thing.
It is simply
that's really a controversial thing.
They conclude as Ismail because the birth of Isaac is said after that story. But is after that story, you see. So after that story, this serial order is not acceptable to be a guiding line, because even Surah 17 verse 1, if you take it from Muhammad, then Surah 17 verse 2 is for Musa, clearly.
Yes.
So that notation is gone through the window as well. So
the thing is that we have to find out. We have to find out actually those facts. According to our so-called scholars of Islam, they have produced all those things. Actually, we cannot follow this. Following those things, we are actually...
Sorry, because we have another 30 minutes, then we conclude the program. All of you, you can open your microphones. Give me one thing in Islam that you can say it is unquestionably all Muslims are united on this. One issue. Give me one issue.
It is Tawheed.
No.
Why not?
Because if you follow Tawheed, my question is, what is your Tawheed? If you follow Tawheed, then it will come to the issues like, you know what, bowing to the Kaaba is okay. And some will say, no, it's not.
What's the Quran about Tawhid? Quran says only one God. I should
Quran is not clear
recognize one God.
of Tawheed. Just only one God, one God, one God. Even I'm not even clear about the perception of God. But anyway, next issue. I'll give you Tawheed. Okay, next. Next. Muslims are united. Muhammad's birth? No. 12 Rabiul Awwal? No. One thing they are united about.
Last prophet, messenger.
No, they're not. They're not united. Because that's why you have Muslims like Ahmadis. And they are condemned as non-Muslim. So the question, even I don't believe Muhammad to be there. Even if his name was Muhammad, I don't think his name was Muhammad. His name was Yasin, most likely. And he was not the man who was given the whole Quran, no. But anyway, it was an effort to codify by the Al-Mansur and all that. But the question is, as I said, it's not. No, I don't agree with that. Because last prophets are not accepted by all. Another question? Anything Muslims are united about. Anything. Come on. Anything. Anything. Any issue in Islamic belief. Anything. I just want
Ismailism,
one.
sir. Ismailism.
Ismailism. What is Ismailism?
I mean to say the sacrifice son of Ibrahim was
Right.
Ismail.
So they are united in lies against the Quran, which doesn't even exist in Quran.
Yeah, right. Sir.
Good. So they're united in lies, which is not even in Quran. I just prove it. So anything next? Anything?
Muslims are united.
Okay, let's put it this way. Are
Hajj.
they united in offering Maghrib? What is Maghrib timing? Are they united?
No,
Say it.
No.
no. They
Because
are united for Hajj.
for Hajj,
Yes,
Hajj around the Kaaba,
around the Kaaba.
does it exist
They
in
believe.
Quran? Does it
No.
exist in Quran?
No.
So they are united again in lies. Okay, next. Next, go ahead. One thing, I just want one.
Islam has a glorious past of science.
Which is absolutely a lie, because the great Muslims who were scholars of the past as well, they were polymaths, and they can't be really, because for example, I am branded as kafir most of the times, and they were facing the same thing because they were extremely liberal, like Ibn Taymiyyah. He was a crazy man. But on the other hand, you have Ibn Tufayl, who was a great scholar, liberal, who didn't believe in rituals and who changed the European concept. And from him, John Locke's teacher was inspired. And people like him are not to be, in fact, branded as Muslims today. So that's the problem. And they were branding them left and right as kafir. Next. Anyone have courage to ask me one thing Muslims are united about.
Crush Israel, kill the Jews.
No, because the Druze Muslims, they fought for Israel, and also many Muslims are there who in fact fought for Muslims, and the Grand Mufti of Kaaba, of Makkah, in fact welcomed Jews there, and many scholars around the world in fact support Yahudi right to Jerusalem, like I do. Surah 5 verse 21 is clear. Surah 17 verse 104 is clear, because the Jerusalem should belong to the Jews until the Qiyamah. Very clear. Ibn Kathir said very clearly. Ibn Kathir, very famous Islamic scholar, who said very clearly that Jerusalem belongs to the Jews. Very good. Next. Anything Muslims are united about? Come on.
Hell and heaven.
What?
Hell and heaven.
Hell and heaven. Muslims are united about? Like what? In what sense? How many heavens? What should be there in heaven?
No.
One day after our punishment day, we will go to hell or we will go to heaven. In
Okay.
that sense,
Now, does the Quran say anywhere all Muslims are going to heaven? A single verse.
no.
Finished. But does it say that the Jews and the Christians will go to heaven?
Yeah.
Yes. The Surah 2 verse 62. If they believe in hereafter and one God, Jews and Christians will go to heaven. We don't have the same thing. We don't have it. We are told that you have belief, you have faith, the rest give it on him.
According to Quran, all Muslims will go to the heaven.
No, doesn't say that.
There has to be Quranic Muslim.
Hatu burhanukum in kuntum sadiqin. Give me the verse where it says, if you become a Muslim, your heaven is guaranteed. Tell me. Give me the verse. You can't do it. Next, anyone? Brana Babu, try it. Try it. You're my student for a long time.
All
Try-
Muslims are united. All Muslims are united for salat,
For Salat. No, they're not.
for prayer. All
No.
Muslims are united for prayer.
Even Shia Sunnis are not united.
Sir.
Even the mazhabs are divided. Even the
Okay.
raising hand is divided.
Mazhabs are divided.
Even raising hand is divided. Where are they united about Salah? Where are they united about Salah? Go ahead. Because when you lie once, you have to make 1,000 lies to justify it. Tell me one thing
Right.
Muslims are united. Go on. Come on. Abdul Munim, try it. Try it. I'm teaching you courage. Come on, try it. Ayan Ahmed, try it. 79255853088. Try it. One thing. Because if you can't prove it, then you are living in an empire of lies. The empire of lies is going to collapse under my feet. I am the monarch of all I survey. There is none to dispute. I have a smile, a smirk, and the victory joy.
Sir, against homosexuality.
Homosexuality. Is there a single punishment in the Quran where it says, kill them if they're homosexual? Even Salman said, I'm not going to inflict a punishment, Muhammad bin Salman, if there's no clear provision in the Quran. Didn't he say that? So,
He said it.
right.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir,
homosexual,
yes.
I'm not going to punish it.
2 days ago.
Huh? What?
But in many places in the Quran, it is said that the homosexual people, what was their consequences
God punished him.
in the
God punished the Lut. Come, Lut.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
God punished the Lut. Come, Lut. So my question is,
God punished, but you give the same punishment in the smaller way.
are we
In
going
the smaller way, the
Are
way
we-
you can.
the punishments?
Just burn them and just topple the soil
No, because the
with
God,
excavator.
we don't do God's punishments. We don't burn. Even the Bukhari said that, there's someone who was burned to death by Ali. But he said that you don't punish God's.
But we have the lesson. We have the lesson from the Quran.
That's what I'm trying to say. God's punishment is, for example, fire. So they said you cannot kill by fire. This is against Islam. The punishments for God, by God, are exclusively belongs to him. So you cannot do that. Yes.
Mufassal, I have to go on urgent business. So I'm
Okay,
just telling
Kamal
you.
bhai, thank you for pleasure
Before
having
I
me.
leave, I have to add two things. Okay, other than whatever you're saying.
Yes.
Suddenly it came in my mind. You are talking about deism. Farid Zakaria, many of the audiences, many of the people in the world, they think he's a Muslim, Indian Muslim. But he openly came out, on the record, he said he's a deist. So maybe similar to your views. And another thing was Ron Reagan Jr., the younger son of late President Reagan. He is very much activist in atheistic movement. Right. And he has a group called some American Atheism or whatever. And during the last presidential election, during the CNN debate, his face came on the screen, and he said he's for atheism. So that's the Ron Reagan Jr. So
Right.
these two I want to say.
Thank you very much for being with us.
You are most welcome, and carry on, and with your reform movement.
We have another 15 minutes to go. We'll finish the program in 15 minutes. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you
for the contributions.
Thank you so much, Mufasil, and thank you, Major Likon, and all the audiences. I mean,
thank
I can
you,
see.
Hassan
Okay.
bhai.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Take care and have a nice day.
It was really nice.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamal bhai. Now, if you don't have any questions, then I will give the floor for another 5 minutes to Likon bhai end the program. Any questions? Anyone? No questions. You're all spellbound.
Sir, one.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sir, as a student, I study inscription. You know that, sir. Sir, I see there's after 570 to 643, there is no inscription even in the Southern Arabian region. I have asked you this question many times. Why? What sense it gives you when you see that kind of stuff? I'm a very young student. You know, I've just started the study of Islamic research. It gives me just a haunting experience. The first, that there's no inscription, then how these histories are recorded? Isn't this fallacies?
I gave you a scenario. I gave a scenario. These were all created, concocted by under the sponsorship of the caliphs, especially during Baitul Hikmah.
Right, sir. It's all 9th century.
All lies.
Yeah.
Lies.
Yeah.
The only truth is that you can have 45% of the Quran with the first 300 years of Islam, and if you're a believer, the main thing that you can rely on, I believe in the Creator. Even if you don't say Creator, it's all powerful existence.
Infinite.
And I want to arise my my innate morality, do tazakah,
good deeds,
a good life, do good to others.
Yes.
Live a divine life.
Right.
That's the only way. That's the only way to
Yes,
survive. If there is hereafter, you can stand before God and say, I used my rational mind, I did good to other people, I believed in the existence of all powerful, and that's it. That's it. Right?
Thank you.
Right. Likon bhai, any concluding words?
Right. Actually, definitely have a very wide range of research work within you, but I don't have much on that. But I have a strong belief still till today that Quran and these verses has come from Allah, and we have to follow the Quran. So while studying the Quran, what I feel at this moment that Quran is a concept, and we have to understand the Quran by our akal, our
and you have to be,
mind.
you have to be brave.
And
you have to be brave to talk for Quran.
Yeah, definitely.
Brave, yeah?
So according to our akal, we have to understand the Quran, and not going word by word, but there is something Allah has given us mind, and with our rational thinking, we have to find out that what is actually Allah is meaning inside the Quran. And that's how probably if we go, I think, according to me, so far still today, that's the thing. So you have a huge range of research, so definitely I'll again brush up your today's speech. So I'll keep on researching by myself as well.
Very
yes.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I think I answered all of your questions. It was a pleasure bringing my conclusions to you. So my conclusions to you is, seek God. If you believe in God, in greatest alleged revelations, and first of all, you have to confirm to yourself, what is your definition of God? And is there a God who is a greedy God? Is there a God who is relying on your prayers? Is there a God who is vindictive? Is there a God who is all powerful, but at the same time infinite, like you are infinite in a way? So you have to first of all set up your connection with God, and that is called Salah, the correct Salah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. Jazakallah khair.